Welcome to another session. I hope you were well. I'd like to begin today's session by encouraging you to leave a comment with regards to what I share and discuss in today's session. If you like what you hear, you can click the like button. If you dislike what you've heard and you hear, please do also hit the dislike button. But more than anything, I'd like to hear from you, your comments, your thoughts. You're more than welcome to debate and keep it classy, keep it respectful. But you can disagree very strongly with anything I say or share, and it's all welcome. This is like a marketplace, open ideas, and we welcome, and I welcome even dissenting views. Those who disagree with me, those who are detractors, and those who consider what I share to be perhaps unquestionably wrong. If you like what you hear and you have positive comments, by all means, I also look forward to hearing from you. In today's session, I want to talk about the role of play in our lives. I'm going to focus on both sexes, male and female. I talk a lot, and I have been over the past few months, about intersexual dynamics, relationships, intersexual dynamics, and the role of relationships in our individual lives and our outcomes. One of the things we, I guess, in the West have given up on is play. We've defined play in so many ways, so much so that we've removed the very core natural part of play. You might even call it the animalistic part of play. Done through human beings, usually fathers and men and boys. We call this roughhousing, rough and tumble play. Pretend play. There's so many names. We've never understood why it plays a huge role. Now we see this in other parts of the animal kingdom. A sheep that has just been born, a birth, runs around and jumps and is super excited. A horse does the same thing. A lion and its cub, the same thing. Play is instinctive in our nature. It's part of who we are. And in several cultures, it's transferred from one generation to another. It's part of a ritual, almost like a rite of passage, a reminder of who you are. Fundamentally, though, there's a psychological, psychic aspect to play. Men are normally the more disagreeable of both sexes, and so what you tend to find, risk-taking, rough and tumble play, comes natural to men. We see a rock and we think, I'm going to climb that rock. And I'm going to climb the rock without any harnesses. And we take one step and another step and another step. When we get dogs, we roughhouse with the dogs, we play with the dogs, we run around, we jump. When we have kids, we play. Unfortunately, most families these days do not have men in those families. No fathers. Most children are being born, particularly in the modern West, to single parent families where there are absent fathers and no fathers. And so boys and girls are being raised not to understand or appreciate the value of play. Now there is a serious consequence of this. The consequence of this is that we have lost out on an essential part of a success ingredient to make life more meaningful. I'm going to say a lot of things in today's session that perhaps may not necessarily be in keeping with the general ideology of modern society today. The data bears me to be factual. Boys who have fathers and who undergo and engage in roughhousing, rough and tumble play from an early age turn out to be more empathetic all through their lives. Boys who have fathers, or boys who have the opportunity to roughhouse with men they respect, admire, and honor, or roughhouse with women they respect, admire, and honor, turn out to have more empathy, both expressed and gifted all through their lives. Girls who have fathers, of whom their fathers roughhouse with them just like their brothers, turn out to, here's the key part, to have better emotional control, less likely to be involved in relationships that are abusive, relationships where there's sexual exploitation, less likely to be raped, less likely to go through life and have daddy issues. Part of the reason for that is they develop an understanding around the male experience. They understand and learn how to say, daddy, that hurts. That's too much. That's painful. Please stop. And they learn the social cues from a young age about understanding that it's perfectly okay to say no to a man. Girls who do not have that experience, all things considered, turn out to be either promiscuous, many turn out to have sexual exploitations on them, some turn out to be raped, some go beyond what they consider to be appropriate sexually. Sometimes they even start too early. Why? In the absence of a father, there is a deep need to be accepted, to feel wanted, to be approved. And boys can exploit that vacancy in a woman's heart. And so you find at 13, 14, 15, these boys without fathers are watching porn and indulging in so much sexualization. And when they meet young girls, they want those girls to present to them all of their fantasies. They see these girls as objects. These girls have not had fathers in their lives or haven't played with men in their lives. And as a result of that, what you find is that these young girls are and struggle with saying no. And so they are exploited. If this persists, what you find is that the first time a woman really comes into contact with a man is in the act of foreplay rather than general rough and tumble play. So what you find here is two things. Boys, now let me also say, women, mothers who rough and tumble play, roughhouse with their daughters, also have the same effect on a comparable basis. Not equal, but similar effect. It's important to have fathers play that role, the role they should play, so that a woman understands the male experience. How to play with a man where there is no sexual undertone, where she's safe, she feels free. But more importantly, fathers set boundaries and they implement the boundaries they've set. Boundary enforcement, very important. And what you find is that fathers who play with their sons and daughters teach their sons and daughters how to have empathy, how to think about the other person's feelings. Now, if you have children, go back and have a look. You leave two boys, one person punches the other, and suddenly the fight or the game stops. One person has been hurt. On the other hand, if one person punches the other and the other says, that was too much, and he can't continue, dad says, well, you hit your brother too hard this time around, so we're going to stop for today, and we're not going to roughhouse again. And we're not going to roughhouse tomorrow. Why? Because you used too much force. You did not control. Self-control and self-restraint. Regulate your emotion. Understand what the person might be going through. When you deliver a punch or you pull your brother to the ground, don't do it in a vindictive way. Don't poke your eyes in his eyes, your hands in his eyes. The younger brother or the elder brother realizes he cannot play because he's done something wrong. He learns to embody the experience of his younger brother. He apologizes, and father says, your apology is accepted, but we're not playing tomorrow. Your brother has been injured. The next time they come to play, he's more likely to show restraint, discipline, more likely to be careful, and supportive of the emotions and experience of his brother or his sister. By doing that, he's learning how to place someone else's emotions, feelings, fears, concerns alongside his. But more importantly, he's learning that the game is not about winning. It's about extending the length of time that both parties can play the game and have mutual beneficial outcomes. It no longer becomes a zero-sum game, but it becomes a positive-sum game. Men who rough and tumble with their sons create boys and sons who have more empathy. And those boys, when they go into a relationship with girls, they're very straightforward. They communicate directly. They understand empathy. They understand the art of being on the floor, being out-wrestled, or being up above and wrestling someone down. So when they go into dating, what you find is that they communicate clearly. They're more empathetic. They're usually better partners from a relational perspective. Why? To learn to treat the other person the way they would wish to be treated. It's a very simple rule. The golden rule says, do unto others as you would that they do unto you. I have something called the silver rule, an antidote to the golden rule. The golden rule says, do unto others as they would. But here's the key thing. We live in a sick society. And there are people, believe it or not, that like and have deep fantasies, dark fantasies. So someone might like the idea of choking them as part of an experience. Well, I don't, but someone might. And they might think, well, I enjoy being choked. I enjoy being gagged. I enjoy being punched. So I should give it to someone else because I enjoy it. Well, that's a sick person. So the silver rule is a variation. It simply says, do not do unto others as you wish they would not do unto you. It's a simple thing. So it's a negative rule rather than a positive rule. The golden rule is a positive rule. The silver rule is a negative rule. The point of today's session is to simply say, in the West, we've socialized and been socializing young boys not to engage in play, which is why you see when they eventually, we've told them express your emotions and stay in your emotions and express how you feel and meditate and behave like your sister and be calm and everything about you and all that energy is wrong. And unfortunately, men who live in their feelings or express their feelings without understanding how to control those emotions, which usually comes from boundary setting, boundary enforcement, rough and tumble play, discipline, a vision, and acceptance of other people being part of a group, you find sometime in life they have that crisis. He picks up a gun, he goes into a school and shoots everyone down. He gets into a confrontation and he doesn't know how to calibrate, he doesn't know how to separate 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, all the way to 9 in emotions. So he goes from 0 to 9. Why? He never got the opportunity to learn how to empathize and express the empathy through his actions from a young age. He never was taught risk taking. Baby, you climb that branch and you see if it's good enough and strong enough before you go to the next. And sometimes you have to come back to the safe place and look. So you find these boys are broken. Why? No fathers. And mothers who don't understand the biology of men, who don't sympathize with the masculinity of men or the frame that men possess, and who see everything masculine as something wrong. You want us to be as docile as your dogs, without understanding that we are not dogs. We are lions. Lions hunt. Lions have courage, tenacity. They have no fear. And sometimes you have to allow lions to play with each other at a young age so that when they play, they understand the boundaries. They understand self-respect and self-restraint. Now, when I did martial arts, and I still do, but when I started martial arts first, the very first thing that we were taught was how to punch. Now, I'm talking about how to stand and fight. I'm not talking about on the floor, jiu-jitsu or grappling or wrestling. I'm talking about karate. You were taught how to punch, very basic. We were taught how to hold and fold our knuckles, how to fold the knuckles. Why? So we don't injure ourselves. You punch like that, what tends to happen is if you punch and you miss, you snap that you get injured. So we were taught, you fold, it's hidden, you hide it. So if I punch you like that, it's hidden. This is hidden. And you punch with the two knuckles. So there's almost, it's not a straight, because otherwise you punch at an angle. We punch that way. And the thumb is hidden. The possibility that it would get caught, either when two punches are going past, is minimal. Less damage. We're taught how to roll with the punches and how to extend. Basic. You go through the phases how to kick. Basic. Then you're taught how to control. Very basic. You move your leg in this direction, and then you're taught basic. Then for fighting and sparring, you go straight. But speed, timing, accuracy, precision, power. My sensei would always say, light spar, control. Full speed, no power. In other words, the technique has to be executed flawlessly, but no power, because this is a training session. You can go full speed, full power in a competition. But when you go to the competition, it's full speed, full power with control. So in the dojo, full speed, no power, control. So sometimes we would stand in front of each other and people would deliver kicks, punches to several parts of the face, the body, and it's control. You don't go all power because you knock someone out. And now they're off training for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You want them back. And what you find is by learning how to go from 0 to 1, and 1 to 2, and 2 to 3, and 3 to 4, you develop something that we call the ability to empathize and put someone else in your shoes and treat the other person as you wish to be treated. I'm going to encourage you to do something, irrespective of your age. The importance of rough and tumble play in whatever form is important. You don't have to be in a dojo, wearing a karate gi, wearing a boxing gloves, on the floor grappling. Learn to play with your loved ones. It's a way of expressing yourself. It's a way of expressing themselves. It's a way of actually understanding a man's scent, a woman's scent, a baby's tendencies. It's a way of actually learning life and the game of life. Sometimes it's a game, this is partly the reason why I love grappling on the ground, is that you're setting traps. And eventually you can sit down and you can say, this is what I did. Standing up fighting, you fake. You fake a punch. It's a feint. And you see a reaction. You do it twice, you see the same reaction, and you know the person will react in the same way the third time, mostly. So you change your strategy and do something else. They don't see the punch or the kick coming. You're on the floor doing jiu-jitsu or wrestling. You deceive the person into thinking you're playing a different game, and you change. It's like playing chess. You have to see moves ahead, and that's life. When you learn how to play, you learn how to live. You learn how to receive, and you learn how to give. In the same way that we learn who friends are by, in the early days, how they break bread with you, how they interact, how they eat, socialize with you. How we play and how we eat is very you might say, a pre-existing part of who we are at the core. Do not allow being civilized, being educated, being intelligent, being moral to take away play from you. And I also should also say this as I close. Getting on a bicycle and cycling with your best friend is not the same. Going to the gym is not the same. Swimming is not the same. Physical touch. Very important. Now, I hope that's been useful.